After years of monitoring international affairs, I can say with certainty what's unfolding just north of us is unlike anything we've seen before. Canada, our closest neighbor and a vital economic partner, has just passed a groundbreaking law that's poised to send ripples straight into the heart of America. This isn't your typical trade dispute or diplomatic disagreement. This strikes at the very foundation of our economic security and the well-being of our most influential states. The evidence is overwhelming. This is a major upheaval, not just a small legislative change. The intent behind Canada's new law is to transform their own economy, but the consequences put several major U.S. states directly in the crosshairs. We could be witnessing the start of a chain reaction, one that might spark economic turmoil in places few would predict. While most news outlets haven't pieced it all together, the red flags are impossible to ignore. In this episode, we'll break down the impact on each state: California, Texas, New York, Florida, Illinois, and Pennsylvania, and reveal how this new policy could unleash a storm in everyone. Whether it's technology, energy, finance, or agriculture, the risks have never been greater. Stay tuned. What I'm about to share could change everything. California, fifth largest economy, tech powerhouse, agricultural giant. But its global connections are now its greatest vulnerability. A new Canadian law hits Silicon Valley hard. Tech giants must build costly data centers in Canada or pay crippling tariffs. The result? Hiring freezes, layoffs, and a venture capital drought. And it's not just tech. Retaliatory tariffs threaten California's farmers too. California faces a two-front war: tech strangled by data rules, agriculture crippled by tariffs. The golden age may be ending, not from within, but from a law signed in Ottawa. The gilded cage is closing. Now, Texas, the energy titan. Its refineries are engineered for Canadian heavy crude, especially from Alberta. The new Strategic Energy Reserve Act mandates Canada redirect a significant share of energy exports to its own reserve or non-US allies. The result? Texas's steady supply of Canadian crude is about to be choked off. These refineries can't just switch oil types. Retooling would cost billions and take years, forcing shutdowns. Thousands of high-paying jobs and support industries, welders, logistics, local businesses, would vanish overnight. The Port of Houston's traffic would plummet, crippling the Gulf Coast economy. This isn't just a Texas problem. Reduced refinery output means gas prices spike nationwide. Texas, long proud of its energy independence, is exposed as deeply dependent on Canadian crude. The state's leaders would be powerless, at the mercy of Ottawa's decisions. The political fallout would be immense, shattering Texas's identity as an energy powerhouse. The hardware is in Texas, but Canada controls the software. The Lone Star State is suddenly alone. The energy crisis would ripple across the country. Texas's strategic blunder is now painfully clear. The bill has come due. The state's dominance is at risk. Next, New York, the world's financial capital. Its strength is the flow of capital and trust in its markets. Canada's new law introduces a financial services reciprocity rule, restricting Canadian institutions from investing through foreign firms unless given identical access. U.S. regulations make this nearly impossible, so trillions in Canadian investment will be rerouted away from Wall Street. Major pension funds like Ontario Teachers and Quebec's will pull out, draining liquidity and erasing high-paying jobs. IPOs will struggle, and the commercial real estate market, propped up by Canadian capital, could collapse. As pension funds sell off Manhattan assets, property values and the city's tax base will crater. Upstate, factories in Buffalo and Rochester, deeply tied to Ontario and Quebec, will lose their cross-border supply chains. The new law's trade provisions favor non-U.S. partners, hollowing out New York's manufacturing base. New York faces a double threat: Manhattan's financial heart starved, upstate's industry cut off. The state's role as a gateway for international capital and trade is being slammed shut. The Empire State is left isolated and exposed. The consequences will be felt far beyond Wall Street. New York's power is under siege. The financial foundation is cracking. Florida's winter economy thrives on over 1 million Canadian snowbirds. But a new Canadian law imposes a steep exit tax and revokes health coverage for those abroad over 90 days. The result? Communities like Naples and Fort Myers, built around Canadian visitors, will see their lifeblood dry up. As Canadian cash stops, Florida's real estate market will crash, vacation homes flooding the market. The hospitality industry faces mass layoffs. The Sunshine State faces a chilling new reality. An economic winter is coming. Illinois, Chicago's global city, surrounded by a vast industrial heartland, is a linchpin of North American manufacturing. Canada's North American Supply Chain Realignment Initiative offers huge incentives for manufacturers to cut U.S. suppliers, especially in Illinois, and source from Europe or Asia. The target auto parts and heavy machinery sectors that have long depended on cross-border trade. Factories in Peoria, Rockford, and Decatur will lose their biggest contracts overnight. These aren't startups, they're multi-generational businesses, the backbone of their communities. As they collapse, the tax base evaporates and towns wither. The Port of Chicago and the state's logistics industry, deeply tied to Canadian trade, will suffer as supply chains reroute. Railroads will see freight volumes plummet. Illinois, already facing a fiscal crisis, could be pushed into insolvency as tax revenue disappears. The state's central location and integration, once its strength, now make it uniquely vulnerable. The threads binding Illinois to Canada are burning. This isn't just another downturn, it's an existential threat. The Rust Belt's breaking point is here. Illinois' industrial identity is on the line. Pennsylvania, the Keystone State, once the backbone of American industry, now faces a devastating blow. Canada's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism imposes a heavy carbon tax on imports from countries without a national carbon price. Like the U.S., Pennsylvania's coal and steel exports to Canada will become prohibitively expensive overnight. For coal, this is an extinction-level event. Mines will close and rural economies will collapse. The manufacturing sector, chemicals, machinery, steel, will be crippled by tariffs, losing competitiveness. The pain will hit both rural and urban areas, deepening the state's divides. Canada's policy exploits U.S. inaction on climate, punishing states like Pennsylvania for federal gridlock. State leaders are helpless, forced to deal with devastating local consequences. The pillars of Pennsylvania's economy, mining and manufacturing, are being dismantled by a single foreign law. The keystone is crumbling, and the entire arch is at risk. Pennsylvania's identity as an industrial powerhouse is under siege. The economic pain will be felt statewide. The consequences are immediate and severe. The state's future hangs in the balance. What we've seen isn't just economic forecasting. It's a warning. Canada's new law is a declaration of independence from American economic gravity, and the fallout is already hitting our most powerful states. The web of trade, finance, and culture binding our nations is being unraveled, with severe consequences. This isn't a distant threat. The mechanisms are in place, and the impacts are happening now. We're on the brink of a crisis not of our own making, with ripple effects touching every American. My goal isn't fear, but awareness. Pay attention to what's happening in Canada. In our interconnected world, foreign laws can impact you more than those at home. The old assumptions about our closest ally are obsolete. A new, more dangerous game is underway. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and prepare for the storm.